Good morning. Happy Saturday. Oh, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. So let's get into it. I saw before I came on, right? I changed what I the message that I wanted to say. And so I was delayed by just a few minutes, not much. And so I hope that you had a productive week. I hope that you have had had a successful week. I hope that your week wasn't, you didn't get too many things coming your way that you couldn't handle. And I hope next week will be better, right? And so, if you don't know who I am, my name is Waveney. I am leadership coach. I coach leaders, and I help new managers. I work with new managers in my program, Communicate to Influence. I help them leverage their communication and really work on their relationships, right? Um, and I work with new managers really because, you know, when you are doing something for the first time, right? When you're doing something for the first time, then it sort of is like uncomfortable for you. Sometimes you are scared. And also, if you're new in a role, you want to set the proper foundation. You want to set a great foundation for your success. So I work with new managers. I can work with older ones as well, or people who have been in management for a while, but typically people are set in their ways and they have to really want help. Because I get that a lot. Well, why don't you do this? And why don't you do that? And why don't you, you know, XYZ or the other? And people have to want help, right? People have to want help. And so this is what I do. You can work with me in my Communicate to Influence coaching program where we work together for 90 days. 90 days. We work together to get you to where you need to be, to get you to the place of a solid foundation and all that. So, my little disclaimer, if you see me just glancing here and glancing there, you know that I go live both on Instagram and Facebook. Be sure, I wonder why Instagram is telling me, they're telling my followers, maybe they're a bit slow today. Anyway, um, this message, be sure to share it with a friend who is a leader and who needs the support. Okay. So today I want to talk to you about perception, but really I want to talk to you about visibility. Visibility. All right. And what it means for you as an influential leader. Now, what is visibility? Visibility is the state of being seen, the state of being able to see or to be seen. Okay, so that's one definition. It's um, the state of being able to see or be seen. Then there is another definition. It says the distance one can see as determined by light and weather condition. And like when people are sharing information about the weather, they talk about X amount of visibility and da 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 da, right? Um, and then the last definition is the degree to which something has attracted general attention. And so what does visibility have to do with perception and has to do with you being a leader and have to do what does it have to do with any of it? And I am constantly okay, I am constantly amazed at how people at work, in the work environment, are don't capitalize on this a little bit more. And it's interesting for me to see it, especially from an HR background. So many of you know, and if you don't know, my background is in human resources. All right, I'm a human resource professional. I have been for a very long time. That is my jam, and I love it, love it, love it. But visibility and perception goes hand in hand. Of course, if you're not visible, people can't see you. Um, and I wanted to touch base on what are the conditions that affect your visibility as a leader. What are the conditions that affect that? And visibility is important because this is how you move. Your competence will get you a certain way. Okay. You could be competent all you want. You could be an expert at anything all you want. But if people don't know who you are, if you're not visible, if you're not seen, it's not going to work. Right? It is not going to work. And this is part of the let's say politics. This is part of the politics of that you have to learn in your career, right? To be seen, to let your work speak for you, but also speak up. You know, in growing up in the Caribbean, we are very humble people. We like to say we are humble. We don't boast. We don't tell people what we are all about, and we remain unseen. We remain in the dark. Meanwhile, others are advancing, and we're over there sitting, being jealous. And they just have a different strategy. They have learned to be visible, they have learned to use their voices and speak up and say what they're doing, and they do all the things. And I feel like we have to learn to do that. Now, if you're not from the Caribbean, um, we have a saying, you like to be in things. You like to be in things, right? Um, Meaning you like to how do I say this? Natalie, I need your help. How do I say this? You are boastful, or um, when things or events are going on, you you're at the forefront of it. And other cultures may not see this as anything. They may see it as good. But growing up in the Caribbean, we had this thing. And so when I started working for international companies, I used to tell um, the employees, you have to want to be in things. You have to ask questions. If something is going on, you need to ask what's going on. Can I be a part of it? And this is career advice. This is free 99 today that you're getting, right? And this is career advice that you need to take to heart. But the reason why most people won't take it is that there are other things going on with them. And so let's move into, this is a great segue into the conditions that affect your visibility. Why wouldn't you want to be seen? Why wouldn't you want your work, people to know what you're working on and what you're doing, right? First off, um, and this, I didn't have it, but this is so it is your mindset. Okay. The first thing is your mindset. And you see me come on here, or you see different posts and you hear me talk about mindset. And mindset, hey Brenda, mindset is very, very important. You need to cultivate the mindset for success. I'm writing because maybe I'll do a live stream on that. Give me a moment. Sometimes I say really cool things that I think are really cool, and I'm like, ooh, I should. That's a quote. That's I should do something on this. So you need to cultivate a mindset for success. Winners think differently. Winners think differently, hands down. They think differently. And because they think differently, they operate differently. If you want to know, if you want more information, you could scroll through my Facebook, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, wherever you're viewing, and you will see certain themes emerging. I may even spell it out, but winners think differently, and it starts there. They think differently. And so your mindset prevents you from being visible. Okay. The second thing that may prevent you from being visible and speaking up, and especially I feel like this message can go for women as well. We're still in Women's History Month. Last week, it was International Women's Day, the Day of the Woman. And, women we're now stepping into our power. We are now, you know, being at the forefront of things, are being encouraged. It's a great time to be alive, to be a woman, and I feel really good about that. So if you have a girlfriend, she needs this message as well. But your attitude, the other thing that would prevent you from speaking up, from being visible, is your attitude. You just don't have a great attitude, and that stems from having not having the right mindset. An influential leader cultivates a different mindset. Okay, they cultivate a different mindset. In my Communicate to Influence program, the one for leaders, we first talk about mindset. We have to go through it. That is the foundation for anything. I am creating a program right now. It's almost done, and I keep talking about it, but I'll talk about it until I launch it. And this one is specifically designed for persons who are not yet managers but want to become managers. I had a lot of people on a few that reached out to me on consultation calls, and they needed that. So I am creating a little something for them, creating a little space, creating a little container for them. And so the first thing again in that is mindset. It starts with your mind. So your attitude. First one is mindset, and your attitude also prevents that, right? Maybe you have a negative attitude, you don't want to be seen, you don't buy into that, you think differently. Maybe you got your job handed to you. I'm not sure, but your attitude does not support you. Um, doesn't support you wanting to behave this way. All right. And so if you're just joining, I'm speaking about visibility. This month on the People's Brand, I am talking a little bit about personal branding, and I'm touching on certain elements. Um, you can always go back and binge watch the others, but today I'm speaking about the conditions that affect your visibility as a leader. You need to be visible, you need to be seen. People need to know who you are, they need to know your what you're working on, what your interests are, um, what you're excited about in a professional capacity as well. You can sit in a corner, you can do work, but some people have really bad bosses, and the bosses take all the credit for them from them, right? They don't share the credit. And even if your boss doesn't do that, maybe they're supportive, you need to be seen. You need to be seen. People need to know who you are. At the end of the day, what I've come to realize after being a leader for so many years and being in HR for so many years, it's all about relationship, which is why I teach it in my Communicate to Influence. Life is about relationships. Cultivating the proper relationships are important. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that you're using people. It doesn't mean that you need people to like you. It's all about respect and value and what you're bringing to the table. But life is about relationships, right? If you think about or could imagine, because none of us was there, when people used to barter back in the day, right? Just checking to see. If I, okay, mic is on on my laptop. But if you think about battering, right? I have rice, you have a cow, you have flour, and I want what you have. I am sure people didn't just, swap out with different people. I'm sure there was a relationship element built into that, right? I'm sure it was. So, relationships, these are the things that are important, and you have to be visible. So, what else affects you from being visible, from being seen, from speaking up? Okay, political savvy, right? You're not political savvy in the workplace. Let's be real. In the workplace, there is a degree of politics. It happens in the best of companies. It happens in the best of companies. And so, if you are someone who you don't like, you're not into playing games, as we call it, then you're going to be in for a rude awakening. I want to show you a book that I think you need to get. Give me 1 second. Actually, I'm going to share 3 books with you. I am going to share 3 books. I'm going to share 3 books with you. And no, you may not borrow them. I don't share my books, because I'm writing them, I make notes in them, and all this stuff. I personalize them. So, the first book I want to recommend is The Art of War for Women, right? And know that I didn't, this is not the book I initially, when I left, wanted to recommend to you. But this one was there, and I'm like, oh, let me just, so it says Sun Tzu's, I'm not pronouncing the word right, his name right, sorry, Ultimate Guide to Winning Without Confrontation. Okay. So you need The Art of War. It's based on The Art of War, right? Um, sort of, but for women. But the book I wanted to share with you when we're talking about visibility and because of the political savvy conversation is The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I read this book like many years ago. All of a sudden, I realize now it's very popular. I don't know if it's popular with social media. The first law in this book is never outshine the master, which is an interesting law. The reason why I'm recommending this book for you is, and Robert Greene himself says this book is not about uh, what do you call it? The intention behind it wasn't like, here's how you get ahead, here's how you claw your way and crush everybody, rah, 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 and all that. The intention behind it isn't that. The intention behind it is to share with you laws, power laws, how people use their influence, how people in authority, how they do certain things. And if you are not aware of it, if you're not aware of it, then you play right into it and you could find yourself one out of a job, you find yourself blacklisted, you step on the somebody's toes that you shouldn't be stepping on, all because you are ignorant of how all this works, which is actually a point that I have here, right? You're ignorant about how all this works and you cannot afford that. So he wrote this book because he actually had stepped on someone's toes. I think it was his boss toes. And so he went, and it's a really cool book. It's a heavy read. It's not something that you could read in one day, but they have all these laws. And what I totally love about it is that he ties it back to certain historical figures and events. And so you could really see how it plays out. And if you're really reading it correctly and paying attention, you will see, you may have glimpses of how certain individuals within the companies that you work for, how you're able to match that. So somebody has a comment. One of my top fans on Facebook. She is so sweet. So she says, Brenda says, needed to hear this great advice. You are the best. Many thanks for taking your precious time out of your day to comfort and improve my mindset. My pleasure. And this is why I farm the people's brand. This is why I do what I do, because I love, at the end of the day, I love to see people grow and develop, right? And everybody doesn't have a mentor, everybody doesn't have a guide, everybody, some people don't have people that they could, trust and be real with, and ask questions. And so I want to be that person, and I've provided different forums for you to get that from me. So the next book that Robert Greene speaks about is the laws of human nature, and this one came out just recently. He has another one as well where he it's like a daily one. I forgot to bring that over, but anyway. But yeah, that's Robert Greene. I said all that to say you need to be aware of the politics that uh you know that is in the work environment. And so people don't feel the need to be seen, to be visible, and they don't show up to events. Okay, they don't show up to events, and they just, I don't feel like I want to go, or you know what, this person pissed me off and I am not going. And that is the worst mistake that you can make. It is the worst mistake that you can make. All right. If your company, and I'm giving you again this free 99 advice, if you are working for a company and they are having an event, if they are doing some sort of charity something, if they are whatever, you are to be front and center, front and center, front and center. Okay, you are to support that. And if you lead a team, your team needs to be involved in that, because that is one way that you are visible. That is one way I could tell you as an HR person that people see you, they see how you operate. You can even go a step further and say, how can I help? How can I volunteer? Do you need any help? Right? And a lot of people don't do that. And the reason why they don't do that is because this is my next point. Why the conditions that affect your visibility is that they're lazy. They have a lot of lazy people around. They are lazy. You want to, you just, you're kind of coasting by. You went to school or you're in this leadership role and you got the job and you work hard and you feel like you don't have to work anymore. Lies, 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 lies. Okay? You have to work. You have to work, right? Leadership, cultivating and a mindset for success. I was looking down at my notes. Personal development, personal and professional development takes work. It is never ending because there's always a new level, there's always a new hurdle, there's always something that you're not going to be comfortable doing, right? And even me, with all my experience, I will tell you that there are things that I still need to work on. And so a lot of people are lazy. They want the money, they want the success, they want to say that they are a manager, and really they cannot handle it. They can't handle it. They're not willing to grow, they're not willing to get feedback, they're not willing to move the needle, right? They're lazy. I don't like lazy people. I really don't. I think it's a sin and a disrespect to our maker, but hey, that's just my opinion, right? And so I mentioned this, and the last thing is the ignorance of how people are ignorant of how all this works. People are ignorant of the fact that um, it takes more than your degree, it takes more than your experience, it takes more than you just kissing ass with your boss, it takes more than you producing results to get you to move, right? To get you visible. It takes more than that. It takes action. and lots of people don't want to take action. And so I wanted to come on here and share this with you. I want to encourage you to be visible, right? To speak up, let your work be seen, ask questions, let people know who you are, right? It's part of your personal brand. There are other things as well, but this is a huge part of it. All right. And if you really want to grow, whether in, even if you are comfortable, maybe you're a manager and you're comfortable where you are, you don't want to grow, that's fine, that's okay. But be the best that you can be, right? It's okay if somebody wants to be, let me say a mechanic. I don't know why I'm thinking about that, but somebody wants to be a mechanic, that's okay. Just be the best. Just always, my thing is always be relevant and always grow you know, and be visible, right? Be visible. And so let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, or you can DM me. Share this message with a friend, a girlfriend, or another manager, maybe one of your coworkers who is a manager. Share this message with them. And if you'd love to work with me um, with coaching, um, the link is in the bio on Instagram. Schedule your consultation call, and on Facebook you can go through my. I think there's a link there as well. There is a link there as well. So I have a coaching program, Communicate to Influence. It's 90 days that we work together to help you to really establish your foundation on your um, establish your foundation with your leadership, right? And we focus on your communication and your work relationships. And so I will talk to you on another weekly chat, and see you soon. See you next week. Bye.